keep checking in. Nice to meet you. We're going to break down the cost of living in Panama, El Salvador, Guatemala City. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so we're going to break it down for you, right? We're going to break down cost of living in Panama, El Salvador, Guatemala City, right? When you live in Guatemala City, we're going to recommend staying in Zone 10 as well as others. Watch the main episode. When you're living in El Salvador, we want to recommend staying in San Salvador. This is one live in the beach town of El Tunco, but for now, this is based on San Salvador. And then when you're living in Panama, you have Africans living in Panama, we're going to recommend you stay anything off that Balboa Avenue within that area, that Balboa area, so you can really get that Miami Vice type of feel, that Miami vibe, that Grand Theft Auto Vice City type of vibe, right? So that's what these numbers are going to be based off of, right?
All right, guys. So in our other videos that may be released, might not be released yet, but what we're going to talk about is the cost of living in each of these places and how they compare. So let's talk about the pros and cons of living in Panama, Guatemala City, and El Salvador. So guys, when you're talking about Panama, you are going to spend a little bit more money. It's going to be a lot more comparable to the average cost of the American apartment rather than like in Guatemala City and El Salvador, which is below the average cost, which you're actually going to get a lot more bang for your buck. For instance, the average cost of the American apartment anywhere from the West Coast to the East Coast, anywhere in between, it's gonna run you around $1,400 all the way up to $1,900. Somewhere in that range is the studio. That's a studio apartment, guys. We're talking 2-bedroom, 2-bath in Panama. It's going overlooking the city. Is going to run you. You're talking luxury 2-bed, 2-bath for somewhere in between that range in Panama, and that's the most expensive. Now let's talk El Salvador, Guatemala City. Somewhere in there, it's gonna run you anywhere from $750 a month, anywhere from $1,100 a month, from anywhere from 3-bed, 2-bath, 2-bed, 2-bath, and if you're talking 1 single bedroom and 1 bath, I guarantee it's gonna be anywhere from $500 to $750 a month in either of those cities, and you're talking luxury living like a stud, living like a king, living like a queen. So if that is what you're looking for, I'm going to recommend more so pro to living in these areas such as Panama. There's a lot more to do. If you're looking for that Miami club scene, you have beaches, you have rooftops, you have that cool car vibe, you have nice upscale restaurants and things like that. If you're really looking for that type of lifestyle and you want to be riding around with the big kings and queens and of that nature and stuff like that, I'm gonna recommend Panama and things like that. But if you're looking for something affordable where you can get in touch with the culture, if you want to have cheaper food, cheaper cost of living, you're gonna live in cities like Guatemala City. You're gonna live in cities like El Salvador, San Salvador. So keep that in mind when you're budgeting and what you're looking for and where you could potentially see yourself living if you're considering living in either or any of these 3 different countries.
Food, guys. So again, out of these 3, they're gonna be cheaper than America, right? Let's just get that out of the way right now. But as far as more of a luxury vibe, you want to go Panama, right? Panama and Guatemala City seem to have more of the luxury upscale vibes. But also the Panama has food from like all over, right? They have food from Nicaragua, Peru, that little bit of everything, right? But Guatemala, they got a little bit of everything. We got ramen out there.
That's pretty
ramen, pretty good. So, but El Salvador, San Salvador, they tend to more so stick to their cultural food, right? More so Central American style of cooking. But they do have other restaurants there as well. So, but I would say out of the 3, if I had to pick somewhere, I would say Panama because they have a little bit more variety. Before I like to say, you have food from Nicaragua, Peru, Chile, all different types of restaurants and all different types of upscale rooftop bars and whatnot you can try out. So, but as far as food overall, guys, you're gonna be saving yourself a whole lot of money just by living abroad or briefly living abroad compared to living in America.
All right, guys, let's talk nightlife. So a pro to Panama's nightlife or to any of them is going to be the cost comparably to the US. Everything's going to be a little bit cheap. The con amongst all of them, just if we're looking at Panama, El Salvador, and Guatemala, the con of them is Panama is going to be the more expensive. That's the only con I would say. Panama is distinctly more expensive than each of those. So you're gonna be around anywhere from $10 to $12 a drink in Panama, and all around Panama for the most part. You can find some places you can get some specials for like $7, $8, maybe a bottle of wine for $30, $40. Yeah, a lot of happy hours. I will say, yeah, there is a lot of happy hours, and they do a lot of food deals and things like that, but you're going to spend a little bit more money. That's the only con I would say I would have for that in terms of nightlife, the money. But if you're looking for going out, rooftops, cool vibes, Panama, there's no cons. Guatemala City, no cons. There's no cons to El Salvador as well. Everything we could Uber for super cheap. You could get a taxi for super cheap or bus there for super cheap. So there is literally no cons to the nightlife. You just have to be smart. That's the only thing. You don't want to go to the wrong club. You don't want to feel, if you feel the vibe is wrong, just don't go there or leave or whatever it may be. But we found no cons other than Panama being just a little bit more comparable to the US. Not quite the US, but a little bit more comparable.
And regarding transportation, how to get around, guys, I would say Uber. You can't go wrong with Uber, guys. Uber can range anywhere from, we've seen prices $2, $4, all the way up to $8, $12, $20, right? Depending on where you're going, right? So, like I say, we usually recommend you guys pick somewhere that's centrally located. So, just walk around and don't necessarily have to rely on having a vehicle for additional expensive club, right? So, you can get around very cost effectively with public transportation, Uber, and buses and other means of transportation. You can get around so simple nowadays. You gotta look through the advent of technology now. So do not stress about transportation. Do not get a car. Don't get a car, don't add on that insurance and all that stuff. Unless you plan on living there for years at a time, right? Now that's totally different. But as far as transportation between these three cities, countries, you're good. Uber, get on your phone.
All right, last guys, let's talk about how much do you need to live in these three countries as a king. We'll give you a small range. So I would say for El Salvador being the cheapest, I would say anywhere from $3,000 to $5,000. Anywhere between that, man, you are on top of the world. I kid you not. And you budget, I mean, if your apartment's running you $1,000 a month, that's $12,000. If you take over $36,000 there, and you talking minus 12, which is $24,000 you have to play with, and your housing is taken care of, everything is Uber friendly, everything is walking friendly. I mean, you budget correctly, you're living like a king. I mean, you can eat for $2 a day pretty well, I would say. So I would say Guatemala City, you can stay in that range, but I would up it more so to $4,000 to $6,000 would be the sweet spot, somewhere in between there, depending on your lifestyle and things like that. Obviously, the 6 is going to be the highest where you are. You're up there. You're in the penthouse. You're living with the views and everything like that. If you're in the middle, you're still with the views mid, and then even at the lesser end, you still have a great view. You're not on the ground floor at $4,000. So it's still a great cost of living. Now, Panama City is going to run you the most expensive.
It's a Balboa Avenue now.
And this is business issue.
When you come sliding in and talk, I live for $300. We're not talking about the butt part, right? You're talking about the popping part, right? Where you want to be, right? Not the part you're looking on the outskirts, right?
Exactly. So you're gonna run anywhere from $5,000 to $7,000, maybe $8,000. And $5,000, you are living pretty comfortable. I'm not gonna lie. You're in Panama City, great vibes, lots of food diversity, lots of people diversity. You're gonna see people from all walks of life in Panama. Everything coming through there, the canal is there. So you're gonna see everything, lots of banks, lots of money moving around. So if you want that scale, that upscale lifestyle that is not quite as fast as Miami or LA or downtown Chicago, New York, you're gonna come to Panama. You're gonna live like a king for $5,000. Guess what? You can't live in New York City. You can't get a studio in New York City for less than $4,000. So We're talking cost of living $5,000 a month. Food, drinks, having fun, and all. And so if you want to get to the tippy top, $8,000 max. I think you need. I mean max. And you are you know, you have a different person you're hanging out with every day. You paying for everything. So at $8,000. So Panama's going to be obviously be the most expensive. El Salvador, to me, most cost-effective place. If you want to save some money and live like a king, El Salvador definitely is the most cost-effective. Guatemala City right there in the middle. Panama at the higher end, but all great places to live, all great places.
All right, guys, that being said, eventually, well, if you want to let us know if you agree, disagree, feel free to comment below, be respectful.